Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Will the clerk call the roll?
Mayor Primoroso,
Here.
Vice Mayor Javelin,
Here.
Councilmember Russo, Councilmember Tinsley,
Here.
Councilmember Levy.
Yeah, I hear the echo, yeah.
Echo. Whoops. What? We can sing, and we'd still be on tune.
Don't push it. I don't have any additions, deletions, or modifications, announcements and presentations. We have anything tonight? Seeing none. Items of resident interest in board committee reports. We'll start with Eric.
Well,
Do we have any? It's only been a couple weeks.
Green Market, everybody. Green Market on Sunday, beginning of our 14th season. I hope to see you all out there. It's supposed to be a beautiful day. There's a cold front coming, so it's going to be hopefully a fall day. And we're giving out these bags, so it's not empty. We're not giving them out with stuff in them, but they're beautiful bags, aren't they? And so I hope to see you all out there on Sunday, 8 to 1 o'clock.
Thanks, Joe.
Well, I'd like to first start out by wishing the members of our Jewish community a Happy New Year, Lashana Tova, if that's the way I say it. That's perfect.
Said it right.
Tova. Well, I'm close, right? Well, I used to just say Happy New Year, but then I said, I got to get with the program. The other thing is, I just like, this pink shirt that I'm wearing tonight is not because I want to be wild and crazy. It's because this is a very important month for pink. This is, as we all know, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And, after attending a meeting last month, a couple weeks ago, in fact, at the biotech meeting up at Scripps and so forth, they're talking about how it's just really difficult to get funding, federal funding, for diseases that need to be cured. I mean, obviously, this is a disease that needs to be cured, and hopefully, between the members of the community and the world that'll donate, and maybe some great scientists that'll find a cure, this is something that's should have been cured a long time ago. When we look at how many women we lose to breast cancer, this is something that's so near and dear to all of us, and I think everybody in this room has probably been affected by it in one way or another. And so that's why I'm wearing the pink shirt. Let's try and go out and do whatever we can this month to try and do whatever we can to get people to find a cure. That's all I have.
Joe, I wanted to add something to that because you were talking about Scripps funding. And I believe that the White House just authorized $900 million to research the next generation of antibiotics. So hopefully Scripps will be able to get some of that money and start working on that because, as you know, a lot of viruses and bacteria have become immune to our current set of antibiotics, so we need the new generation. So it's timely, I think, so maybe some funding will be starting to come down this direction.
The only problem, David, is what we were told is the money seems to be in the cancer, which I guess will help the breast cancer thing, but they say it's not in the brain. And I guess that's where Scripps is, and Max Planck hurts, because they don't want to be funding projects. So hopefully they do have something, but I didn't see that. That's good. Thank you.
Thanks. Marcy?
Thank you, Joe, for your comments on breast cancer awareness, and my mom's a survivor, so I really appreciate that. Since our last meeting 2 weeks ago, I attended the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, where we had an update again on AAF, All Aboard Florida. A quiet zone has been established and approved from Boca North to 15th Street in West Palm. All the FRA inspections have been completed. Now is our time to send in comments to the FRA because they're only accepting written comments. Also, it was recommended at the meeting that we pass a resolution, all cities, not just we, but pass a resolution requesting our city be included in the quiet zones for the north area as they work their way north. Also, they discussed the fact that the county is going to be considering a move from Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council to the Southern Regional Planning Council, which is the Broward Miami-Dade Regional Planning Council, and I totally disagree, and I'm opposed to that because I don't feel that we are like Broward. I don't feel that we have a lot of commonalities with Broward or want to emulate their planning practices of Broward. The county is having a meeting to discuss this. The discussion is the first regular item on the October 7th County Commission agenda. The meeting begins at 9:30, and they'll be discussing it at 9:45. The mayor and I also attended the North County Intergovernmental Committee meeting. We discussed there the same issue, the Treasure Coast switch, the possible switch to the southern Treasure Coast. We also discussed All Aboard Florida, and MPO suggested that we attend the public meeting on the 29th from 3:30 to 7:30 and submit our comments in writing. They also mentioned that at their November 21st meeting, it's mostly going to be dedicated to All Aboard Florida now that the EIS is out. In addition, Todd Von Laren gave a brief presentation on sober homes and the county is hopeful legislation on that because that's has been a big issue in the southern end, but it is an issue in the North County as well. And they're going to be discussing that and pushing towards additional legislation on that. Lastly, Todd Von Laren also mentioned medical marijuana legislation. He said that the state's going to work on legislation as to how to grow, obviously, possibilities and who gets to do that. But he said it's up to the local jurisdictions, and that local jurisdictions should pass their own legislation on zoning and land uses when it relates to the sales of it. He also encouraged us to consider our own zoning rules, which is kind of what I brought up before. I made a brief presentation on the district park to the North County municipalities at that meeting, to all that were in attendance. They were all very keen on the idea, very, very optimistic, and very supportive. Riviera Beach also mentioned that they would like to be included, and if we could possibly just list or find out what their elements that they would like would be, they would appreciate that too, even though they're not adjacent to us, but they're close by. And thank you again for saying Happy New Year. I too want to emulate that comment, and look forward to seeing you all at the Green Market.
Thank you. David?
Well, I did attend the Loxahatchee River Management Coordinating Council meeting, where we did discuss they're redoing the Lanehart and Maston Dam ramps. Those are areas that you can take your canoe over the dams, and what they're doing is they're making it easier to walk up, and especially they're trying to make it a little bit more accessible to handicapped people. The ramps are worn out, and we've had discussions about using recycled plastic, and that is because it would last longer than wood. Talked about Everglades restoration projects, and also it is now time again to do the 5-year plan update, so I get to be working on that for the next few months. And with that, Mr. Mayor, it's over to you.
All right, Marcy already said everything, so let's move it on. City Manager report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. I do have some items to bring to your attention this evening. I guess it would come no surprise to anyone if I said we've had record amount of rainfall in the last month or so. And if it does come as a surprise, see me later. We have an EAP program that we'd be happy to refer you to. As a result of that, we've obviously had some difficulties involved in trying to keep our fields playable and keep them from underwater. In the last council meeting where the budget was approved, the council allocated $400,000 to improve on the drainage of the multipurpose fields. With that said, I just want to bring you up to date on where we're at. Just wanted to let you know that it wasn't just soccer that was having difficulty holding their activities. We had 16 days out of September where we had to close the tennis facility. We had 10 days at the aquatics complex and where we had lightning, and so we had to shut that down. At PGA National, we had 10 football events that were rained out. And even though PGA National has the best drainage that we have in the system, when the lakes are full There's nowhere to discharge the water. The pipes that are under the ground will store water to a certain point, but when that's full and the groundwater table is high, the water falls onto the turf. There's nowhere for it to go, so it sits there. But that's the best one we have. The Gardens Park, of course, the multipurpose fields, 18 times they were rained out. Lilac, 16 times. And Mirasol, 19 times. So I just wanted to let you know that it's citywide. It's all facilities are impacted. And in particular with our golf course, we had 14 days of rain registered out there. Over 9.5 inches fell. Interrupted play 14 days, closed the course for 9. And since June, as you can see, we've had 30 inches of rain at the golf course. So it's just not soccer, it's all over, it's rain, it's something that we have difficulty controlling, but in the meantime, we do the best we can as far as that's concerned. We put our team into action right away. We realized the importance of bringing this drainage project along. We have put together our internal timeline for the beginning of these improvements, which you see before you now, and they're in city attorney review at the moment if they're not finished. He just finished them today. So we're a day ahead of schedule and moving on. We hope to have a contract to you to award by December 4th. That's our goal. And we feel very confident, staff feels very confident, and I feel very confident we'll be able to keep that schedule. The next slide will indicate to you how we're going to go about the process. The first project we looked at will be December 15 through February 6, Gardens Park. And if you see the second project, the dates are March through April 24. Third project is Lilac, May 18 through June 19. The reason that we're doing one facility at a time is to keep all of the other fields open for play. We've got a lot of games to make up. We have an additional tournament that was requested to be played in December, so we pushed the date back in December. And we feel like, given no difficulties with weather or any unforeseen circumstances, we will do our very best to keep this schedule and keep this project on schedule throughout the timelines that we have made for ourselves. And staff did meet with the president and the president-elect and Robert Coleman and the exec. This letter here, as you can see, thanking staff for the hard work, bringing together the plans, the RFP to repair the drainage for the 3 fields. We've had productive meetings with staff, resulted in agreements. They are in total agreement with what we're proposing, and I'm sure they would help us in any way that they can to maintain these schedules. But it's opened up better levels and better lines of communications with the new incoming officers, and certainly allow us to work better together better. I'm particularly appreciative that they took the time to thank the recreation staff, and park staff actually, and walking the fields, our athletic guys walking the fields with the coaches and board members, and sharing in our concern and their concern for the safety of the kids. And it's good to have the support that they'll forego decisions of playing a game for the safety of the children. We appreciate that. And also acknowledging we have had an unprecedented rain season. So that's our plan of attack. We're underway, we're moving forward, and we plan on getting the job done as we have outlined it here for you tonight. The next thing I bring to your attention, which has already been brought.
Can I just make a comment? And I can guarantee, I appreciate everything that you're doing, and I can guarantee you that the western communities have it even worse, because I've talked to several cities and leaders of cities and participants, and their fields are even in worse shape. And so I think the fact that we're doing this is a win-win for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have to tell you about Green Market. I think that's already been covered pretty well, but we do have a pretty picture I wanted to show you that It starts this weekend. Also, want to remind everyone, the 7th Annual Palm Beach Gardens Police Foundation Explorers Golf Tournament's coming up on the 11th at the PGA Resort and Spa. If you haven't reserved your foursome, you better get over there quickly because they're filling up fast. It goes for a very, very good cause for our police explorers. They're award-winning in different competitions throughout the state, and they do a great job. Our sponsors do a great job, and the Police Foundation, can't say enough about them and the support they give the city. Also, we have Florida City Government Week, October 19th through the 25th. At the golf course, we're having Residence Day on Saturday the 19th. We're going back to the rates of 1991, so residents who want to play a good round of golf for $20 in the morning and $10 in the afternoon, you can certainly come out there and hit the little white ball and chase it around the greens. The tennis center, we're scheduling the groundbreaking of the new construction of the 5 tennis courts that we have there for Monday, October 20th at 9:30. And there'll be activities surrounding the opening of the tennis center. Also, don't forget, on Thursday, October the 23rd at 6 p.m., the council and staff will be having a growth management workshop to talk about the future growth trends and analysis of what's happening in the city and how we want to address those. Last, certainly not least, the Mayor's Veterans Golf Classic is November 7 and 8 this year. We have a special event on Friday the 7th with the women's 9-hole special course event. And then the main 18-hole scramble will happen Saturday. Register now. There may be a few left open. I know they were getting close to being full. But this is a extremely worthwhile event. The money that goes to the Veterans Hospital on this one, the money's used for things that the federal government won't allow money to be used for because of the bureaucracy, and they're able to really, truly help people one-on-one basis with the funds that are generated for this. So I encourage you to come out and participate in the Veterans Classic. The money couldn't go for a better cause to help our veterans. And with that, that's the end of my report.
Can you put that last picture back up, the golf tournament?
Veterans?
Yeah. What's the money raised? Are we close to 200,000 now? 180, so we'll be
180.
over 200,000 this year since the inception.
Should be.
Okay. And that logo is awesome. Is that one that we use at the golf course now, less the mayor's veterans at the work? I mean, it's really a great logo. Beautiful. See? Good timing, huh? Good job. Very nice. Comments from the public. I do have one card. Carolyn Chaplick.
For the record, Carolyn Chaplick, 715 Hudson Bay Drive. I just want to comment about the new traffic signal that's put on at Hood Road between Military Trail and alternate A18, where they put it at the Publix at Frenchman's Crossing. It's a very, very dangerous signal. I have almost gotten plowed into 3 times because people are not aware. When they look at the lights, they think it's the railroad light. Instead, there it's very close. So if they could put a sign up to warn the people as soon as they come off of Military, like a blinking sign that this sign is activated. I've also noticed that they give a preference to the people coming out of Publix as opposed to Hood Road. And it should be Hood Road is the main, because I got stopped again and I keep looking, and I mean, I had pulled over on the shoulder because and the person went through the light. And if I didn't see that in my rearview mirror, I would have gotten plowed into. And that happened at least 3 times since it's been activated. I did call the police department about it, and I just let them know about it too. But Marcy's nodding her head because she lives there, and it's dangerous. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Carolyn.
That's the county.
That the county, yeah.
And that light went up without our knowledge at all.
Absolutely, and it was warranted by the shopping center. However, I agree with you 100%, and in addition to her comments, what happens is during the rush hour or peak traffic times, people that are turning from A1A onto Hood end up backing up and they sit there at the train tracks because that signal like stops everybody, and then that turn lane stops everybody, and it's so close.
They spent
that
a
people are
fortune on
stopped
that
the
light, and
tracks.
frankly, it's
And into A1A, so it's
not
causing an
smart,
issue on
because
A1A.
you
It's
can back up
ridiculous.
right onto the track.
It's the worst light ever.
And the original discussions on that were they couldn't put a light there because it was too close to the other light in the tracks.
It doesn't meet the separation criteria.
And they throw it up anyway.
I do not know how that got on.
I don't either, but I think we need to complain about it even more. Thank you for your comments.
It's also, it's dangerous going eastbound too, because that light kind of blends the light in front of it, so I could see where you're coming from, yeah, okay. We'll have some discussions on that with Commissioner Valashay and talk to the county. So, thank you. Yeah, again. Next up's consent agenda, but I want to pull item B, the Independent Auditing Services Award for a presentation by staff and also the selected firm that's here tonight. Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
Second.
Got a motion, 2 seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Passes 5-0. Kumra, thank you.
Good evening, City Council. Kumra, Purchasing and Contracts Director. I have Mr. Michael D. Futterman. He is the audit and
You can yell tonight. That's all right. Let it out.
all right.
Let us have it.
Okay. Good evening, City Council. Kumra, Purchasing and Contracts Director. This evening we have Mr. Michael D. Futterman. He's the audit engagement partner for Markham LLP, who is the recommended bidder for award for the independent auditing services. He has a short presentation to make on the company. He'll give you some history on the company and the background and the experience, because that is what they were based on our criteria where we selected them, and that's why we recommended them for award.
Okay.
He has also provided us hard copies of the presentation, and you should have them in front of you, but you'll also have them on your screen. Afterwards, he will answer any questions you have pertaining to the company, and any questions about the procurement process you can ask me. Mike? Introduce it, guys.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As Kumra said, my name is Michael Futterman, and I would serve as the audit engagement partner with the firm of Markham, and I brought with me Enrique Urena, who would serve as the audit manager, and Lucas Sanko, who would serve as the audit supervisor. Give a little picture there, so just in case you forget who we are. Just a little background, I guess, on myself. I'm the Florida partner in charge of governmental services for the firm, for Markham, and I've been involved in the public sector for more than 24 years. This is what I do probably 10, 11 months out of the year, just dealing with local government audits, and I'll get into a little more of that information after. As you know, your city receives the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. You've received that award for your comprehensive annual financial report every year. I'm actually one of the special review members of that committee, and I have been since 1992. I'm also one of the partners in charge of the governmental training, not only for our Florida region, but also around the country. And I'm the designated audit partner. We're members of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants Governmental Audit Quality Center, and I'm the designated partner, again, as being the partner in charge of governmental services for the firm. We're trying to keep this brief, so unless you would like, I provided a little bit of information on the audit manager, Enrique, and his experience, and Lucas as a supervisor. And we also had Jamie Blank, who's also another audit supervisor who wasn't able to be here tonight. A little bit about our firm, Markham. We're a national firm. We're ranked the top 15 firm, number 15 in the country. We're ranked among the largest public accounting firms in Southeast Florida. Currently in Florida, we have 3 offices, West Palm Beach, Miami, and in Fort Lauderdale, and we have about 174 professionals and 18 partners between those 3 offices. Overall, the firm has 24 offices around the country, or actually around the world. And in Florida, the public sector represents our largest single industry and niche. That's why I said that's all I do 10 or 11 months out of the year, deal with local governments. The next screen has, you can see some of our current audit clients, and you'll see a lot of them are your neighbors in Boca Raton, in the city of West Palm Beach, Green Acres, Northern Palm Beach County Improvement District, South Central Regional Wastewater Treatment and Disposal Board, the Village of Tequesta. Those are all the ones in Palm Beach, and we went down through Broward and Dade County. One thing that's very important, to us is a system of quality control, and as part of every engagement, we will not allowed to be issued an auditor's report, which gets incorporated into the city's financial statements without a quality control partner reviewing and signing off on the audit report. So basically, you have two partners that actually end up, myself and another partner that actually reviews the financial statements. And we can, without that quality control partner's sign off, we can't each issue our auditor's report and release the financial statements. Also, from an inspection, as you know, CPA firms have to go through an annual peer review, every 3 years have to go through a peer review. So that's, again, part of showing our system of quality control. And in addition, in the years in between the peer review, we also do an annual inspection. And the peer review and the annual inspection also cover governmental engagements. They're required to be selected as part of a peer review. What I have attached after this slide I'll show you is the PCAOB inspection, which deals with public companies. And I know this city and governmental audits aren't subject to the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board. They, different than a peer review, they're not your friends. They come out and they're representing and safeguarding the public companies around the country, around the world actually. And we wanted to show you this slide is because we're the top 8 firms in the country that do public company audits, and we're the only firm after the last PCAOB inspections that had actually 0 deficiencies or 0 findings. And you can see some of the other large firms in the country, other national firms that had significant deficiency rates. But we like to point that out because that just shows our how important quality is to us when we're performing our audit engagements. Why Markham? Proactive involvement. We like to be involved with our clients all year long. It's not just something we come in, as you know, the audit is performed after the end of the fiscal year, but we'd like to be involved at all times during the course of the year with questions, helping, finance department with questions as they arise. Like I said, we've got a lot of experience, and we're available, at any point in time. And most importantly, we know and understand local governments. As I said, this is what we do, and you can see by the list of engagements or local government audits we perform, and some of them, those engagements we've been performing for 10, 15, even some of them over 20 years. We're a large firm, but we consider ourselves almost like a local firm, and that type of approach, that's how we provide our services. We also, I guess, during the contract period, there's many new GASB pronouncements that have been issued over the years, and there's many more coming. Obviously, some are very, near and dear to your hearts, especially the one coming up with GASB 68 and the pensions. But again, we assist all of our clients with the implementation. There's no additional, cost, and we want to make sure it's done and done correctly. We also provide an annual government symposium where we invite all the finance professionals of our clients and non-clients throughout South Florida. And I'm proud to say that this year will be our 20th symposium, so we're planning special activities for a 20th annual symposium. We're an associate member and a sponsor of the Palm Beach League of Cities and the Florida League of Cities. We also present at the FGFOA annual conference, and bottom line is we give back to the governmental community because there are a lot of things that we do. And I mentioned before about our symposium, there's no cost to any of the participants. So in tight budgets, a lot of the cities are very happy to be able to send all of their finance staff to a full day of training at no additional cost. And with that, I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity to present our firm and address any questions that you might have.
Any questions on the firm? No? I just wanted to thank you for coming here tonight. We've had Rampale and Rampale the last 5 years. Before that, I think we had McGladrey. And, it's a nice practice to change probably every 5 years, to go to a new firm to kind of get a different look and a different feel for how we're doing things and make sure we're doing things the right way. And I didn't know much about Markham. I appreciate you coming here tonight, talking about your experience, bringing your team with you and some of the municipalities that you deal with. You know, you weren't the cheapest, but obviously you were the best rated of the 11 or 12 bids that we had. And to me, that's impressive that you went through that whole process, not being in our city before, but certainly coming up with staff and your interviews and your introductions and your credentials. So we're very thankful that you're in that top position, and with final approval tonight, we look forward to working with you guys.
Thank you very
Moving
much.
forward. Joe?
I mean, obviously, they're a quality firm. I want to thank staff. I mean, they've done a great job at doing this RFP, selecting them, and I believe having a lower price than what we're paying right now. So that's very good. And obviously, you're a quality firm, so, you know, we know what we're going to get, and it's going to be great having, and I agree with the mayor, it's great to, you know, to be switching off every 5 years, because you have a new look at it and so forth. So it's, you know, I think eventually, I think the public companies are going to be required to do that. I don't know when, but at some point, I think.
Well, the public companies require auditor, just a partner rotation, not the firm rotation. So the partner and the quality control partner have to be rotated every 5
I think
years.
eventually the firms might be, because right now, I guess the new ruling or whatever they're going to do that, the partner in charge of the audit has to be disclosed, of course, 8 months after the audit, I think, but, you know, it's a pretty interesting thing, so welcome. I know you'll do a great job. You're a great firm, and we look forward to you giving us good reports. I know with the staff we have, and as you well know, you've seen our you know, our excellence awards. I'm pretty sure that we're going to work really well together. And you just do your job. If it's not well, you tell us. If it's not well, we want to hear it too. So.
We said we are independent, we're external independent auditors, so we will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, any other questions? All right, if not, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move item B, purchase or, B, yes.
Yeah.
Independent auditor system.
No resolution, yeah.
Just item B.
Okay. I have a second. Got a motion, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Passes 5-0. Congratulations. We look forward to working with your whole
Thank
team.
you very much. We look
Thank you.
forward to.
Okay, I do have one more, comments from the public part. Douglas Grant.
Good evening, Douglas Grant, 301 Balsam Street.
Thank you.
Good evening, council, Mr. Mayor, city manager. I'm having a problem with a neighbor across the street. Loud stereos, loud cars. I spoke to this council months before on this same subject, and I've been calling the police, and I've called code enforcement, and I'm not getting any traction on it. But what's worse than that is that right now, code enforcement is deciding that I have too many trees in my front yard. This is not my front yard, it's my mom's front yard. I'm her caretaker, and I'm her power of attorney. She's gotten scared of sitting in the front yard because these loud stereos and loud cars are just going loud. So worse than that, though, the code enforcement is deciding that I have too many trees in the front yard. My mom likes to sit in the front yard. She likes to sit and enjoy the trees and the bushes and the, you know, breeze and the squirrels and all that. And she's getting pushed out of her front yard. The last police officer I spoke to said, A, why don't you put up with it? Or B, why don't you put mom in the backyard? And I just said, you know what, this is backwards. You can't drive people out of their front yards because a city can't take care of its noise problems or enforce their own noise ordinances. And what I'm saying to the code people and the city council and everybody involved, take a look at this. There's an impasse here. There has to be a happy medium here, but not with the loud cars and not with the loud stereos. And there's no reason my mom should have to have her trees cut down because code is coming after me because I'm complaining too much about a loud car and a loud stereo. And that's the situation.
Doug, can you just define loud car for me? Is it a?
Well, I actually have a decibel
I
meter.
understand the stereo where
Yeah.
it is, okay.
I have a decibel meter because of all this going on. The car is breaking it by 10, 12 decibels. But what it is it's race car with no mufflers on it. My contention is the car shouldn't even be in Palm Beach Gardens. It should be in a warehouse district.
And you think these people live on your block, these cars?
across the street from me. And I've got people next door with loud Harleys. I haven't even gotten into that because this is a big subject. I understand that. But what I'm saying is I can't understand why code would come after me for something that they're not taking care of. This same situation happened in 2007. I had a neighbor behind me with a dog barking, kept me and my mom up. It went on for 2.5 years, and all I got for it was retaliatory code infractions, which I took care of, and if I can step aside from the subject, I agreed with at the time. My mom's yard was a little messy. I just moved back home. I took care of the code problem, but they never took care of the dog. So here we go again in 2014. I'm dealing with the same problem, and I'm getting the same reaction from code. I'm just coming to the city council and the mayor and the city manager to try to get this resolved.
Okay. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. On that note, I'd like to recognize our friend Gene Wiggy in the audience. Hi, Gene. How are you doing? Any comments from the corridor tonight or anything?
No, but can I thank you
Please.
for this recognition?
Please come up to the mic if you don't mind.
Thank you. All right. Well, I am honored and humbled and just so surprised and pleased by this recognition from the city, and I want to thank all of you for this recognition. And I am personally delighted to be working with such great leaders in this city. Palm Beach Gardens and moving here from Connecticut has changed my life. I've never been happier, and I've never been more welcomed and successful. And more importantly, I can't thank you enough for your continued support of Palm Beach State College. It means everything to me, and it means everything to us. There are 9,000 Palm Beach Gardens citizens at the local campus, and your support of that campus is very critical, and you've been supporting us all along. So thank you so much for that, and I'm really grateful for the recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. Thanks for everything and all that you do. All right, seeing no other cards, we're going to move on to tonight. We're holding quasi-judicial hearings on the following cases. Resolution 58, 2014, miscellaneous petition for the PJ National Resort Community Plan Community Development, PCD. Resolution 61, 2014, miscellaneous 1407-000-104, amendment to the Garden Station Plan Unit Development PUD Master Signage Program. This means the City Council is required by law to base its decision on the evidence contained in the record of this proceeding, which consists of the testimony at the hearing, the materials which are in the official city file on this application, and any documents presented during the hearing. The council is also required by law to allow cross-examination of any witnesses who testify tonight. Cross-examination may occur after the staff, the applicant, and other participants have made their presentations and will be permitted in the order of the witness's appearance. It is necessary that anyone who testifies at the hearing remain until the conclusion of the hearing in order to be able to respond to any questions. If you plan to testify this evening or wish to offer written comments, please fill out a card and give it to the city clerk. The city clerk will now swear in all persons who intend to offer testimony this evening on any of these cases.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
First up is Resolution 58, 2014. Will the clerk read the title?
Resolution 58, 2014, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, approving a miscellaneous petition for the PGA National Resort Community Planned Community Development, PCD, which is bounded by the PGA Boulevard to the north, North Lake Boulevard to the south, the Florida Turnpike to the east, and the C-18 Canal to the west, as more particularly described herein. To approve a time extension for the previously approved temporary modular structure at the east end of the existing driving range at the PGA National Resort Core Golf Course, providing conditions of approval, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
Okay, this public, this is still open from the last meeting that we did. Continuation from September 3rd, 2014. Is there any ex parte since that meeting? David? None? None. Okay, thank you. Okay, petitioner presentation.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Ann Booth. I'm with Urban Design Kilday Studios, and I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
I basically just wanted to bring you up to date. We did meet with staff since our last meeting. We've come to conclusion on the language of the condition, and the applicant does agree to the condition. There have been no other changes since our last meeting other than that.
Okay. So we have all the dates worked out, everybody's
Yes.
happy on both sides, okay.
Yes.
Any questions of the petitioner? Staff, we don't need any presentation, we're good to go? Okay. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, I'm gonna close the public hearing, bring it back up for discussion or a vote.
I move resolution 58, 2014.
Got a motion, second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you for working with staff.
Thank you.
It's nice that the cold front got into these chambers before it got into the rest of Florida. The cold front really worked its way down here, I guess, so.
We need to wear a long sleeve
Is
shirt.
this the way it's gonna feel on Sunday?
I thought it was coming on, this weekend, came early.
Thank God for air conditioning, right?
Okay, next up is Resolution 61, 2014. Will the clerk read the title?
Resolution 61, 2014, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, approving an amendment to the Garden Station Plan Unit Development, PUD Master Signage Plan, to modify the location of 2 tenant wall signs on the Garden Station West Building as more particularly described herein, providing a waiver, providing conditions of approval, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
I'm going to open the public hearing and ask for any ex partes.
None.
None? None? Okay. That's fine, okay, good. Presentation, please.
How we doing? For the record, John Clark Bills with John Bills Properties, here to ask you for amendment on sign.
You've been sworn in, sir?
I have been sworn in.
Thank you very
Sorry,
much.
thank you. The location of the property, right at the southeast quadrant, of I-95 and PGA Boulevard, shown there on the screen. This is the original site plan that was approved. At the time of that we originally got the approval, the existing site signage was adequate. With the landscape the way it was, you could see the signs fine. There was no complaints. The tenants loved it. They moved in. Everything was going great. Since then, the trees, landscape has grown up. It's blocking the signage. Even once we raise it, it's still going to be pretty much impossible to see from the street, but at least once you get into the project, you'll still be able to see it. And we didn't want to cut down any of the trees. We'd like to keep them there so that we weren't hurting the landscape. And we're also adding some trees to the east side of the property. This is a sign showing the conditions when we originally got the approval. As you can see, the landscape was young and hadn't quite matured, and you could see the signs pretty clearly. This is existing signage from inside the property. That's not even from the street. That's all the way halfway in the property, and as you can see, the signage is not visible. This is right up against the building, right at the front row of the parking, and as you can see, the parking you can't see what it is. And just the other side of the building, seeing the same thing. This is the location where we're going to add the trees behind the small trees that are there now, before you get to the building. And we're requesting for the waiver to raise the existing signage up 1 floor.
Any questions? We need a staff presentation or any comments?
No. Staff recommends approval. The applicant has adequately mitigated the waiver request through the provision of additional landscaping, and staff recommends approval of the petition.
Is there no way to move the trees out 3 feet? Because he's going to have the same problem in 2 years when those things are higher.
The trees are part of the foundation landscaping, and so they soften the facade. They're a code requirement, so staff does support the relocation of the sign to above the 3rd floor. And through the approval of this, eventually, when the trees grow up a little further, the applicant, of course, will be able to move them down if they wish.
Put them on a sliding scale. Move them up and down. Okay.
But those trees do provide a function. Those
yeah, I know
those
that.
royals do soften the facade, and they were approved with the code.
If they choose that they want to lower the sign,
They do not have to come back before you.
that's what I was going to ask.
This is something we've approved for a lot of people before. This is so there's, in fairness, I think we have to grant this.
All right. Thank you very much. Anybody wishing to speak for or against the item? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing, bring it back up for discussion or a vote.
Chairman, move resolution 61, 2014.
Second.
Motion in 3 seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 5-0. Ray, I'm going to go out and get a pizza and come back, because this is going to be about an hour-long title, so good luck. Ordinance 16, 2014. Will the clerk read the very long title?
Ordinance 16, 2014, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, amending Chapter 78 Land Development at Section 78-52 Conditional Uses by repealing subsection D9 and readopting same as revised, further amending Chapter 78 at Section 78-154 PUD Planned Unit Development Overlay District by repealing subparagraphs G11, A1, and 2, and readopting same as revised, further amending Chapter 78 at Section 78-186 yards by repealing subparagraphs B7B and B7B2 and readopting same as revised, amending Section 78-187 special events by repealing subsections A and B5 and readopting same as revised, amending Section 78-191 outdoor seating by adopting a new opening paragraph and repealing subsections A5 and C8 and readopting same as revised, amending Section 78-321 minimum landscape and hardscape standards by repealing subsection A3 and B and readopting same as revised, and by adopting an entirely new subsection C, amending section 78-322 hardscape and non-living landscape materials installation requirements, by adopting an entirely new subsection F, amending section 78-344 construction and maintenance by repealing subsection I and readopting same as revised, amending section 78-345 number of parking spaces required by repealing subsections D1, D2, and D3 and readopting same as revised, further amending Chapter 78 by adopting an entirely new section 78-381 to be entitled Electric Vehicle Charging Stations and reserving sections 78-382 through 78-390 for further legislation, further amending Chapter 78 by repealing section 78-392 definitions in its entirety and reserving section 78-392 for future legislation, amending section 78-751 definitions by repealing the definitions of commercial vehicle, dwelling unit, office, business, or professional, special event, and readopting same as revised, and by adopting the definitions of artificial turf, electric vehicle charging stations, mobile food vending vehicle, pickup truck, recreational vehicle, semi-trailer, semi-truck, step van, tractor, and watercraft, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 78 Land Development shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Congratulations. You know, for the Jewish members of our staff and all of us in the room, Ray, you've just become a bar mitzvah. Because some kids have haftarahs that are a lot shorter than that. If anybody understands what that means. I guess so.
I'll blame it Max for that title. You can open the public hearing, ask for a staff presentation, please.
Good evening, Dawn Sonneborn with Planning and Zoning, and I have been sworn in. This is to amend various sections of the city's land development regulations. It clarifies and strengthens existing language. It provides internal consistency, adds a few new sections, relocates certain sections for better organization. One of the first areas is in yards, 78-186. Barbed wire is permitted in industrial zoning districts or industrial portions of PUDs and PCDs. So we've added more restrictive language to clarify that barbed wire is not permitted in any other non-residential district. Under special events, 78-187, new language has been added pertaining to food trucks to allow them under a special permit. We have permitted them in the past as a special permit, and it just is now in the code. Under outdoor seating, 78-191, we added a meaning to serve and service for clarification for the outdoor seating. We added language to clarify parking requirements for outdoor seating that's with and without service have been added. And then we added a parking exemption for minimal outdoor seating. If you're less than 5% of your gross floor area of the restaurant, you don't have to park that. Under the landscape regulations, we've added artificial turf provisions because we are seeing that more within our city. For parking, 78-345, requests for additional parking if a developer is adding more than 10% over the required parking, they have to go to City Council for approval. And we are seeing this now with Class A offices, ALFs, where they are providing additional parking. It makes the parking work much better. So we're upping that to 20% because we don't want to penalize the developer for adding this additional parking. We've added a new electric vehicle charging station under 78-381. We're seeing those as well come into our city, so we've added some provisions for that. They are allowed in non-residential districts and in PUDs and PCDs. And lastly, under the definitions, we've moved some definitions that were in 78-392, which was parking and storage of vehicles and RVs. We've shifted that to the end of the code, 78-751, under the full definitions section. Between those two, we've deleted some duplicative definitions, and then we've added new definitions to go with the new sections that we've added for artificial turf, the electric vehicle charging station, the mobile food vending vehicle, and then we've slightly modified some definitions just for clarity, and that's commercial vehicles, dwelling unit, and special event. We've coordinated this with the PGA Corridor Association, and we have a letter of support from them. And staff is recommending approval of Ordinance 16, 2014.
Any questions of staff on these items? Nothing? Nice job, well put together. And just the process that we go through once in a while to do all these changes. So it's, I think in our meetings yesterday and today, they went pretty well. So a lot of the questions got answered, and I think a lot of these things are good for us going forward. So I appreciate your efforts. And nobody has questions? All right. Anybody wishing to speak for or against these items? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing, bring it back up for discussion or a vote.
Move ordinance 16, 2014 on first reading.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 5-0. Next up, Resolution 62, 2014. Will the clerk read the title?
Resolution 62, 2014, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, approving the appointment of regular and alternate members to the Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
All right, bring it back up for any discussions on reappointments.
I make a resolution.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, move resolution 62, 2014 with the names Roma Joseph, Honey Bryan, and Doug Zanell for reappointment, and Randy Hansen to be appointed via a waiver, which we are allowed to do for planning and zoning appeals,
Second.
specifically to that board.
No, he's an architect.
He's an architect, and he fulfills the composition of the board.
And the problem is, you well know, to get a professional that really isn't going to work in the city, it's very difficult. He's done a great job over the years.
All right, a motion and second. Any more discussion? No? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Next up, Resolution 63, 2014. Will the clerk read the title?
Resolution 63, 2014, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, approving the appointment of regular and alternate members of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Okay, discussion on this with regards to Recreation Advisory Board. Marcy, did you have some comments?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
There's no comments. I'd like to make a motion to move Resolution 63, 2014 to reappoint Tori Buckley, to appoint Joseph Mullings as a regular member, and also to appoint Maria Marino as a regular member, and to appoint Joseph Roche as an alternate member, and Bruce Bonavento as a second alternate.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
I don't know about that Tory guy.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Congratulations to the new members on that board. Yep, very much so.
For your service.
Next up, items for council action discussion. We have the gas station signage.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Natalie Crowley, Director of Planning and Zoning. I'm here to briefly present our findings of, as a follow-up item based on your request on gas station signs within the city. Back in July at the City Council meeting, the City Council asked staff to meet with the local gas station owners to discuss the Palm Beach County motor vehicle fuel pricing posting ordinance. And so we did so. It was a very informative and positive meeting. In that meeting, we were able to get a better understanding of some of the concerns from the local owners, and we were able to review the ordinance very closely. The ordinance, and some of this was, we went over this a little bit before in the summer, but just to recap, the ordinance requires each type, that is the actual word, each type of gas being sold at the gas station to be displayed on the proposed sign. Then, on top of that, the county's ordinance requires the cash discount price to be displayed, and it needs to be done so continuously. It needs to be 6 inches tall, and staff believes, after reviewing this requirement, that the county's ordinance could potentially lead to confusion and sign clutter. And we took the time to do some renderings, some mock-ups of what certain signs in our city could look like should the county's ordinance come into effect. So come April, this is what, on the current permitted sign, this is an example on the left here is where my cursor is of the existing, and you can see by the county's ordinance, you can see all of the numbers that are on the sign as a result of displaying each type of sign, and then in addition to that, the cash discounted price. This is another mock-up we did of another existing sign that we have in the city. And again, this is just another example of how much content could confuse driving motorists when they're trying to make a split-second decision. We were trying to work toward a solution to maintain the intent of the ordinance, which is to protect the consumer, but we were also trying to take into consideration the needs of the business owners so that, number one, you don't have so much sign clutter, and number two, the content that would be required to be on the sign would still meet the land development requirements, because a lot of the signs that we have in our city are limited to copy face area and by our code, and staff believes that many of these signs wouldn't be able to meet the county's code. You wouldn't be able to fit. And we are hearing that from many of the gas station owners. Many of them are saying, look, we need to go out and buy new signs because what the county's ordinance is requiring, it doesn't fit on our existing sign. So this was the solution. I'm just presenting this solution, this alternative concept, as a concept, because what we would like to do is, if should you agree and direct us to do so, we would continue to work on the concept, refine the concept, and then bring it before you for final approval in a separate ordinance. But the idea is, rather than displaying each type of gas sign and then the discount price, you would simply put credit. First of all, you would clearly display that the prices up here are cash prices, and then in a prominent location, very near to all of the other price listings, you would have credit at 8 cents, and that, or whatever it would be. It could be 6 cents, 7 cents, 8 cents, but it would be a universal price added to all of the cash prices that would be applicable. So this is another mock-up of what could happen. This sign would display the cash price, and then here would be a potential location where the gas station owner would have the opportunity to provide credit at 8 cents. Again, this is another one. This was an example that was provided actually from the gas station owner. Gas station owners, Mr. Dalton provided this as an option. Again, you can see here it would be modified to show the cash and then the credit prominently at the top, add 8 cents to both the diesel and the cash. This is yet another example of how it would achieve the same. So staff believes that if it is prominently displayed in, and we can work with size restrictions, we can require certain colors, we can require certain sizes, but the idea is we'd like to protect the consumer, but also work with the business owners to be able to display the information within their existing copy face area, so that they don't have to go out and spend $50,000 on a new monument sign. So what we're recommending is that we would work on an ordinance to bring before you in the future, and in doing so, this ordinance would essentially be an ordinance in conflict, and it would automatically opt you out of the county's ordinance. And with that, staff does recommend doing so. On a separate note, we do understand that there is a whole separate path. I did speak to a gentleman from the FPMA Petroleum Association, and staff does understand that there may be a challenge potentially to the county's ordinance. They are looking to do something, but regardless of what happens along that path doesn't have any certainty with time or outcome, and no matter what, staff believes that this is a better alternative than the county's ordinance, no matter what happens with the path of the challenge. And the gentleman who I spoke with at the association did agree with that. So we appreciate the feedback from the group, and staff recommends working on an ordinance along with this concept.
Well, this is an elegant solution to a simple problem. It really is.
So what kind of problem?
To a simple problem.
It's not a simple problem.
Oh, yes, it is. It's a simple fix to a problem.
It's a simple fix to a big problem.
Well, okay.
I mean, you know.
Say it any way you want. It does the job that's needed to do without getting complicated.
I mean, staff did a great job, and the gas station owners. I mean, they did a great job. Everybody coming together, and that's what happens when people sit down and talk, as opposed to, you know, everybody wants to fight and fight and fight. I mean, it's just a shame. Hopefully, maybe the county could look at this and maybe adopt this, because I think this is a better solution than what they came up with.
The state can adopt it too. That would be nice too.
I have a question.
Yep.
If for some reason the county's version is challenged, our ordinance or our soon-to-be ordinance, would that supersede still the county's?
If we adopt an ordinance in conflict with the counties, it doesn't matter what happens with the county's ordinance.
So this would always supersede that?
Yeah,
If
our
they're in our
ordinance,
county,
the only thing that would preempt our ordinance is if there's a change to state law.
Okay.
If the state decides to adopt a regulation or something like that, but it won't matter what the county does.
Okay, I think that the counties, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's total clutter, and I don't see how anyone could read that sign going 45 or 50 miles per hour, driving by and trying to figure that out. It's ridiculous. It's ludicrous. Anyway, I appreciate your solution, and I think it's a very good one.
So when do you think you might be back to us with some ordinance or information to look at as far as how we want to do it? Just end at the beginning of the year. I mean, we have a little time, right? We just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely start on it right away,
Okay.
and I would say that we'd probably be ready at the beginning of the year to bring something before you.
And when would the county's new plan take effect? Is that next year, end of next year, middle of next year?
It was 1 year from the date of adoption, which was in April of 2014.
Oh, okay, so
So
that
it's
might-
coming into effect in April.
Okay.
And all we have to do is pass it. We don't have to become effective, so we can give them a little time to gear up to comply, so we can give them 6 months.
That's right. When we write our ordinance, we too can write a period in which
Timeframe.
and a timeframe in which the owners can come into compliance.
Yeah, but as long as we have something on the books, then they don't have to file the counties.
Once we adopt an ordinance and we adopt our own timeline for them to come into compliance, they will no longer be under the county's ordinance.
Yeah,
So
alright.
even if you wanted to give them, if we adopt an ordinance in March and you give them 6 or 8 months, it doesn't matter. Once we're in conflict, then our rules apply and the gas stations won't be bound by the county's ordinance.
Okay. So we want to be before April.
They don't have to
Definitely.
buy- they don't have
Definitely
to
would
buy
be
new
before
signs.
April.
That's what I'm hearing, yeah.
They
Okay.
don't have to buy new signs, they can just add it on to their existing sign.
Okay. All right, is everybody okay with staff moving forward?
Sounds great.
Okay.
great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natalie. I guess we're waiting for the city attorney report tonight?
No, I don't have anything.
Move to adjourn.
I have a question.
Oh, hold on. Please withdraw your motion to adjourn. We have some
Ah,
information.
Gosh, I hate withdrawing that one.
Slow down,
I withdraw
Let
my
me ask a
motion to
question
adjourn.
before you make anything. Marcy, go ahead, please.
Were you guys in agreement at all with the Treasure Coast moving to a different Treasure Coast, or do you have any opinions on that?
I agree with you. yeah.
I mean, what do we have in common with Dave Broward? We're trying to make sure Palm Beach County don't become Dave Broward.
Well, I think everybody's looking at the cost savings figure, which is like 300 and something thousand.
Right, but that's not everything.
Well, but
Planning, the
Sure, that's a-
Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council does a lot, in my opinion, of outreach to everybody, to all municipalities, and works very well with the MPOs and the league, and especially with All Aboard Florida, educating all of us. But I would like to, I'm actually unfortunately going to be out of town and cannot participate at the county's public hearing, but I would like to see if maybe we can write a letter in opposition and have the mayor sign it. Is that something that we can do before the 7th meeting? Ron?
When's the county meeting?
I believe it's on the 7th. No, I think it's October. I have it, hold on. Yeah, hold on.
Next Tuesday?
Yeah, I think it's Tuesday.
Oh, let's come up
I
fast.
know it's quick, but I just learned about it in that email that I had forwarded.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the letter.
It's October 7th.
I don't have a problem with the letter.
Just
Like
write
Disney.
a quick letter of opposition, have the mayor sign it. Do we have to make a motion to do that?
Consensus is okay.
Do it by consensus.
I'd like to make a motion to write a letter to oppose moving Treasure Coast to the southern Treasure Coast.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes
Thank you
5-0.
very much. I appreciate it.
Good comment. Anything else before we adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, passes 5-0. Good night, everybody. Thank you.